I want to say what I said this morning, which is that all of the remarks which we are hearing this afternoon, and which we heard this morning, which you'll be hearing this evening, will be posted on our website and will be getting the widest possible circulation around the world. I now would like to call upon Dr. Ed Fulner, the President of the Heritage Foundation, for the purposes of making an award. I want to say that Dr. Fulner, not only through the Heritage Foundation, has been a strong supporter of our work, but also he himself personally has been a stalwart supporter of our desire to bring down communism and to extend freedom and democracy around the world. It's been a cause of his from the very, very beginning, and we're very honored indeed to have him here with us this afternoon, Dr. Ed Fulner.
Thank you very much, Dr. Edwards, Congressman, Your Eminence, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much, especially those of you who have come such a long way. Your presence here means so much to those of us who have the easy job of extolling your virtues. Today we gather here today to pay tribute to three extraordinary individuals. It's my very great honor to cite one in particular. Jack Kemp was known to many people in many different ways. Army private, star quarterback, 9-term congressman, cabinet member, candidate for vice president, and in my case, a cherished friend of more than 35 years. His departure is a huge loss for all who knew him and for all freedom-loving peoples around the world who know of his tireless service to freedom worldwide. Today, the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation bestows on him its prestigious and highly deserved honor. Truman Reagan Medal of Freedom, named for two of the most significant leaders of this Cold War era. One lifted the free world to its feet at the long war's inception. The other engineered its end in freedom's favor. Though these two Midwesterners hailed from different political parties, they shared a common belief in the strength of America and in the awesome power of human freedom. It was this spirit that fueled every movement across the globe against communist totalitarianism in the 20th century. Peace and democracy ultimately triumphed over communist tyranny, and 500 million men, women, and children across the whole band of the civilized world realized the gift of freedom. Few in Washington over those decades worked harder to defend that ideal than Jack Kemp. Looking back at Jack's history of public service, we see splendid snapshots, as we did in this preview of the museum, of one man's genuine commitment to other men's freedom and success. In the 1980s, the advance of communist aggression had besieged innocent people in different areas of the world. Those who bravely fought back had Jack's unstinting support. The anti-communist Contras in Nicaragua, the freedom fighters in Afghanistan, where Jack worked side by side with Don Ritter, had a friend in Jack Kemp. He worked in Congress to send them the arms and the funding they needed. The Sandinistas and the Russians met the might of a powerful counter-revolution. The Soviet Union fell, and the Cold War thawed. In the 1980s, Jack repeatedly introduced resolutions reaffirming American solidarity with the struggle of captive nations in Central and Eastern Europe, nations that now enjoy the blessings of freedom. On a trip to Moscow in 1990, while walking through Red Square with Jack Kemp, he looked over at me and said, "Eddie, we've won this thing." I said, "Jack, how can you tell? We've only been here for 3 hours." He said, "But look, The line at McDonald's is longer than the line at Lenin's tomb. We've won. Several years later, 1993, Jack and Joanne, Linda and I traveled to Budapest. While we were in Budapest, we visited the monument to Raoul Wallenberg, the Swedish humanitarian who gave his life for the survival of others during the Holocaust. Coincidentally, we were in Budapest at that time with Congressman Tom Lantos. Tom Lantos, who received this very same medal just last year. I was honored to be present and to snap some photos when Tom Lantos and Jack Kemp laid a wreath at the monument to Raoul Wallenberg. Raoul Wallenberg's story inspired Jack as he laid that wreath on the statue in Budapest, and Jack later wrote the foreword to Wallenberg's definitive biography, Angel of Rescue. Later in his career as Secretary of HUD, when people inside the Bush 41 White House would say, Jack Kemp is the only Secretary of Housing who has his own foreign policy. Jack would still stand up for freedom around the world. I worked side by side with him as he campaigned around the country for Vice President in 1996. And beyond, Jack remained committed both to a free economic system and to freedom around the world. It's the best means not only for achieving material prosperity, but for letting others enjoy the same success that we had. He once told me plainly but powerfully, everyone around the world should have the same opportunities that you and I have had. That spirit of compassion and generosity aided Jack's fight to see his fellow Americans and citizens all over the world enjoy the fruits of freedom. Jack's optimistic belief that man's fundamental desire for freedom will be realized in every nation around the world marked his professional and personal life. This medal will solidify his legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my very great honor to present the 2009 Truman Reagan Medal of Freedom to our late friend Jack Kemp for his courage, his optimism, his patriotism, his spirit, and his determination in guaranteeing freedom for others. Accepting the award on Jack's behalf is his son Jimmy. Jimmy, your father will always be remembered as an American hero. He deserves the gratitude not only of the people in this room, but the gratitude of freedom-loving peoples everywhere.